All right, welcome everybody, and hopefully you can hear and see us clearly. My name is Wendy McClelland, and I use the brand Social Media with Heart, and I am a business coach and strategist. But today, this is all about Dina Eisenberg, and she's going to talk about outsourcing, especially using Fiverr, which is something I've used a little bit, but I don't know a whole lot about. So I'm going to let Dina take over. And if during the webinar you've got any questions, you can type them into the chat box, or you can Facebook message me and I will relay the questions over to Dina. So I'm going to let Dina take it away. Go for it.
All right. Thanks so much, Wendy, for having me join you here. I love talking about Fiverr, and so I'm just going to pull up my slideshow here and see if we can get going. There we go. I love when technology works, don't you?
Absolutely.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dina Eisenberg, and I am the founder of OutsourceEasier.com and Dina's Rolodex. And I'm kind of an outsourcing champion. So I'm excited to tell you more about how you can grow your business and really grow your joy in your business again by outsourcing to other providers. In this conversation, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, but I'm also going to tell you a lot about outsourcing, why you should outsource, why it's really important to your business and you really can't afford not to do it. I'm going to walk through the 3 different platforms, Fiverr, Elance, and Clarity FM, so you can understand them. Then we're going to talk a little bit about delegation and what you want to outsource when you go ahead and start doing it. And I know that right after this call, you're going to want to start outsourcing. So a little bit about me. I am an attorney by training, but a mediator and entrepreneur by heart. I had the pleasure of working with women who were sexually abused by their doctors. And when I say pleasure, that sounds weird, but I learned so much about courage from those women and standing up for yourself and communicating even when it's hard, that I brought all that good knowledge and experience to my work as being a small business mediator. And then later, when I became the ombudsman for Fleet Bank, which at the time was the 7th largest bank in the nation, I had the pleasure of helping 60,000 people navigate their workday and have a better work life through better communications. So I've been a long-standing entrepreneur, 20 years, and I really love entrepreneurs and small business owners. Some of the really best people in the world. And so you guys have my total affection and admiration. And a lot of what I do is to honor you because I want you really to have great businesses that you love, that are profitable, that make more money for you. I had the pleasure of having my work featured in both an Inc. magazine and Entrepreneur magazine, and I was named one of the 40 under 40 business leaders by the Boston Business Journal. My career, I like to say, has been kind of a patchwork quilt. Lots of different colorful pieces in it, like being an attorney and a mediator and an ombuds and an online marketer, but all of it comes together to keep you safe and secure and feeling comfortable online. And that's sort of how I got to talking about outsourcing. I was consulting with small business owners on how to take the content that you have hidden in your hard drive and turn it into information products. And my clients were great. We had wonderful sessions, but no one did their stuff. And the reason they didn't create those products is because they just didn't know how to reach out and find the right person. It was confusing to know who to pick. And they just weren't ready to sort of begin to delegate. And so I took that to heart. I picked up that challenge because since 2010, I'd been outsourcing on guru.com and fiverr.com and Elance, all those different micro job platforms, and I'd gotten really good at it. I was terrible to start, so I'll just say that. But with a lot of experience and experimenting, I figured out the best ways to get the best from each of those platforms, and so that's now what I do. Now, if you're wondering about this picture, this is me and my soon-to-be ex-husband, and we are at the Symphony Gala. Isn't that car amazing? It was a wonderful evening. I live here in sunny, beautiful Oakland, California, and it was a beautiful night, and it's a beautiful day here. So why must you start outsourcing? I'm kind of on a kick about hashtag end grunt work. because I know so many great entrepreneurs who are working so hard to make a little bit of money, and that just makes me crazy. About a year ago, um, the U.S. did a survey on how much entrepreneurs make, and it turns out, on average, small business owners, and that's a micro business owner like you and I, make about $25,000 a year. Like, I want to say that again, $25,000 a year. Wells Fargo did a study, and they found out that micro business owners work about 52 hours a week, and we work 6 days out of the 7 days. That, my friends, is an awful lot of work. And when you do the math, I'm a words gal, but I did the math, and that's under $10 an hour. So when you think about it, running your own business when you're not doing it as efficiently and as effectively as you can, you're actually making lower than the minimum wage in Oakland, California, which is $12. And I just think that's cuckoo bananas and crazy. So I want to see everybody begin to start using outsourcing and delegation as a way to grow your business organically without having to take on the overhead of having extra employees and doing a big search, because we've all sort of worked in an organized company before. Maybe you had a corporate life, and it takes a while to hire people, and it's expensive. Well, the truth of the matter is outsourcing doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be scary or complex, and there's an easy way to get to getting the exact result that you want. And so that's what we're going to talk about here. One of the reasons I think we don't outsource is because when we left that corporate grind, we thought, well, doggone it, I have my own business now. And you're doing your happy dance, and you're thinking, well, that means I have to do everything myself, and I have to do it all because it's my idea. And if I wanted to have my own business, I have to do it all. Well, the truth of the matter is you don't have to do it all. And moreover, if you do everything in your business, if you're the marketing person, if you're the salesperson, if you're the admin help, if you're the social manager, media manager, I'm just laughing at all the hats already. If you're the market researcher, if you're doing all those things in your business, how can you possibly be serving your clients well? You're like totally distracted. And so one of the key benefits of outsourcing is really being able to focus on what you do best, because you're fab, absolutely no doubt about that, but you don't do everything perfectly. And so outsourcing is really the reason why you can grow your business fast and effectively by using the time and the talent of others. Okay, so here's what I was saying. 52 hours a week, 6 out of 7 days, $25K a year, and less than the hourly wage. I don't usually use a PowerPoint, so that's why I'm like, what's the next slide? Here's what happens when you outsource. Life gets a lot easier. We found out that from a survey that Elance did, that entrepreneurs who outsource...
Dina, I'm just going to interrupt for 1 sec. We're not seeing your slides.
You're not seeing the slides?
No.
Okay, let me try to back out and try it again.
Okay.
Now, how many times did we try this?
Yeah, I know.
All right, I'm going to try one more time. Let's see if we can get right back into where I left off. That's the right slide. All right, I'm going to show my slideshow again. Yes?
No.
No. Okay, well, let's try it one more time then. Sometimes we just have to keep going. Okay, there. Here. Let's try sharing again. Okay.
There we go.
How's that?
Yep, now I can see them.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! All right.
Okay, people aren't seeing the whole presentation, even though we've got it live. For some reason, they're not seeing it.
So they can't see it in the chat.
No, they can't see or hear anything. So I'm gonna just hang on 1 sec, Dina. We're gonna have to go back to the beginning. So I'll get you to shorten up your intro a bit.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
No secret that attention span.
Come on. Okay.
So you want me to stop sharing my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, this is so darn frustrating. just about ready to throw in the towel for the webinar.
Don't
Google
do it. Yeah, Google Hangouts, I don't know. I don't have a lot of good things to say about them, but we're going to make it work.
Okay, this is let me see if this is working.
I'm just typing in the chat while we're trying to work on this. So you want me to stop sharing my screen, right?
Yeah, go back to just you. Just about ready to throw in the towel for the webinar.
Don't do it. Yeah, Google Hangouts, I don't know. I don't have a lot of good things to say about them, but we're going to make it work. I'm just typing in the chat while we're trying to work on this. So you want to stop sharing my screen, right?
Yeah, go back to just you. Okay, so I'm hearing that Terry can see us now. Okay. So we should. Okay, and I can see you, so I think we're okay.
So I should go back to screen sharing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to do just a quick little intro.
Yeah. Do you want me to go back to the beginning slide?
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, people, looks like we had some technical issues there. So just a quick little intro. This is Outsource, Build the Business You Dreamed of. And I'm Wendy McClelland, and I'm going to pass the screen over to Dina. She is going to walk you through her presentation. She's an outsourcing expert. And I apologize for the technical issues we've had here. This has been a struggle for us today.
But we're not giving up.
No. Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about why you should be outsourcing. And if you are a micro business owner, it's just common sense for you to want to reach out and use the time and talents of other folks to grow your business, to attract more clients and get more work done without you having to do it. That's the key thing. So a little bit of background here. You know, I did some research and I found out that micro business owners like us work about 52 plus hours a week. We work 6 out of the 7 days in the week, and we only earn about $25,000 a year, which I think is crazy. When you look at the numbers and you do the math, that means that we actually make less money than the hourly wage in Oakland right now, which is $12. I don't think that's right. I think you should be earning a lot more money, certainly because of all the value that you bring to the world. So outsourcing is a way for you to be able to do that. When you outsource, life gets a lot easier for you. First of all, you're going to gain a competitive advantage. And that's true because lots of other solopreneurs and self-employed folks are not using outsourcing. And we're just going to talk about why that happens in a minute, but let's go through the rest of this list. Life gets easier because you can actually save money. Let me just tell you about a client of mine who runs a nonprofit in Los Angeles, and she needed a new website to support her mission. And so she came to me to get some outsourcing help. And, you know, because I sort of probed with her and found out what she was doing, she was planning on spending close to $300 for her website. But after we had a chance to talk about it a little bit and really narrow down her needs and her interests, we were able to get her a 5-page website for about $60. So it's a great way to get the assets for your business, the marketing assets that you need without spending a lot of money. Lets you leverage your time. You do not need to be doing everything. And I know that I'm going to say that over and over again. You're just going to get sick of hearing it. But I'm going to say it so much that it becomes like your mantra. Stop doing everything yourself. Right? Just the hours that you have in the day can be spent building relationships that will lead to opportunities that grow your business. Better to spend the time there than, you know, on Canva, doing an image graphic that somebody else can accomplish for you. And honestly, they're going to do it better than you. One of the other benefits that I love is that you can actually have a 24/7 work week and day. So when you hire global talent, your workday ends, but their workday might just be beginning. So if you had a project that you really needed to finish pretty quickly, you could actually select a provider that worked on the opposite time zone, and you could be working 24 hours a day. because you're out there marketing more and you get more visibility in your business, you're naturally going to gain more opportunities. So you're doing better at your social media, you're writing more articles, you're getting more speaking gigs, you're out there more, and your assets, your marketing assets look better. And so people are more attracted to you, and you have the opportunity and the energy to go ahead and engage with them because you're not sort of worn down by doing the grunt work in your business. So
Dina,
yep.
We're just seeing one slide that says I can't outsource because. I think we were a slide behind maybe.
Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see. All right, so I was on Life Gets Easier.
No, we haven't seen that.
All right, that's actually the before slide.
Yeah, we're seeing I can't outsource because.
Okay, well, let's get to that message then.
Okay.
All right, so a lot of times people tell me that they can't outsource because of these reasons. And if you said this yourself, you can just quietly raise your hand and know that you're about to have a game-changing experience. If you said, I can't outsource because it takes too long to explain, or it won't get done right, or I can't afford it, sorry to tell you, but those are just excuses. They're excuses that you're telling yourself. And because I've been a mediator for so long, here's what I hear when you say that. When you say, I can't outsource because it will take, typo, too long to explain, found that typo. What you're really saying is that I don't really understand how I do my work, and I don't want anybody else to know that either. And that sort of holds you back, because actually having to take the time to sit down and write down what it is that you do to create a standard operating procedure when you do a task, because you're going to delegate that, is the best way to gain clarity about what you do all day and how you do it. And you really want to have that kind of clarity, because you never know when there's going to be maybe an opportunity that takes you away from your business, or maybe a tragedy. In my case, it was a sort of a tragedy. My husband had a sort of a catastrophic back injury at the time that his business was making about $1 million a year, and he didn't have any backup. He didn't have any outsourced help. He didn't have any standard operating procedures, and there was no way I could actually run his business. So outsourcing, taking the time to explain, not only protects your business if something happens to you, but actually clarifies and makes your business a lot more structured and organized. If you say it won't get done right, that's just about letting go. And it's more about your ego being engaged with doing it right. More often than not, when I outsource tasks, what I find out is that the provider has superior knowledge to mine. And that's one of the questions you need to ask yourself when you're thinking about outsourcing. Will someone have superior knowledge to you? And if they do, you should let them do the task. Yes, you can spend the time on Canva making that image graphic, but guess what? That time is costing you money. I like to have an internal hourly rate that I know in my mind is what I want to make every hour. When you spend that 2 hours on Canva, that's money that you're not going to get, and it's time that you're not going to get back. And so that's the choice you have to ask yourself. Am I the best person to do it? And if you're saying yes, is that just because you're used to doing it, or you really know that you're the best person to do it? Because I'm almost willing to bet dollars to donuts, you could outsource it and get a better job than you can do. The last excuse I hear people say all the time is, I can't afford it. And honestly, the truth is that you can't afford not to outsource. For the very reasons I just talked about, your time is so valuable. And the things that nobody else can do in your business, you have to do. And those things are being the champion in your business, talking to prospective clients and prospects about the value your business can bring to them, really reaching out into the marketplace and looking for partners so that you can work with to really enhance what you bring to your clients. Those are things that somebody else can't necessarily do. They need you, your personality, your energy, your enthusiasm. No one is going to talk up your business better than you, right? So whatever you can do, you should outsource, because it will be better in somebody else's hands, and you'll be able to focus on other things in your business. Okay, oops. Interesting. Now I'm changing the page, and there we go. So what I like to say about that is holding yourself in a constant state of simmering frustration and low competence means that you're self-sabotaging. Let's see if I can get back to that. Holding yourself in a constant state of simmering frustration and low productivity is a form of self-sabotage. And worse than that, it saps your energy and your joy in your business. And if that happens for too long, sometimes you're ready to quit and get a day job. We can't just have that, right? Here are the micro job sites I want to talk about. Now, first, let me just explain to you what a micro job site is. Outsourcing at its base element is you asking somebody else to do a job for you. A micro job site like Fiverr or Elance or Clarity are sites where other professionals, just like you, will perform a task or a project for you. And so the three most popular ones are Fiverr, Elance, and Clarity.com. So let's talk a little bit about each one of those. Fiverr.com broke the mold. Typically in the past, when you were thinking about outsourcing, you might have used Elance or Guru.com, and those are auction sites. And what that means is that you put up your project, and the providers say how much they're willing to get to actually do your project. So suppose that you wanted to have a flyer for your next webinar, and you were asking someone to create that for your graphic designer. The graphic designers would be bidding on how much they'd be willing to get to do that. And it's not a great way to do it because they're trying to bid the lowest amount of money and you're trying to pick the lowest amount of money. So you can imagine that sometimes the quality is not necessarily there. It's a confusing process to sort of guess on Elance what the right amount is. Fiverr came along and broke the mold. And instead of doing an auction style of outsourcing, they did something totally different, which is every task on Fiverr is $5 or a multiple of $5. So whatever you want starts at $5 and it goes up from there. 5, 10, 20, 40. There's actually was a ceiling on cost, but that's gone now. And so that you actually could spend over $500 on a Fiverr task, and some people have. Clarity FM is kind of the newest kid to the game, and it's really different because it's CEOs and recognized experts giving you advice on your business. Their tagline is expert advice on demand. And so you'd be using Clarity FM if you needed some overall marketing strategy, for instance, or you were thinking about going into a new market and you wanted to learn more about it. That'd be a great time for you to use Clarity. I like these three platforms because they're each one just a little bit different, and each one brings something unique to your business. So for instance, if you're on Fiverr, that's where you're really going to be looking to have convenience. So you're looking for things to be done quickly. They're low risk or temporary things. They're repetitive tasks and they're recurring. So a good example of a Fiverr task that's perfect is your social media. If you wanted someone to, on an ongoing basis, create images for you or a post to your Twitter or your Facebook account, that'd be a good thing to use a Fiverr provider for. Things that are recurring that you have to do over and over and over again, but don't actually require your level of expertise to do it. If you're on Elance, that's when I'm thinking about having a thinking partner. And by that, I mean that someone helps me think about the project and iron out the details. And a good example of that is when I first started doing podcasts, I wanted to have a podcast transcript, but I had no idea how to do it. I'd never done transcription myself. I had no idea how to order transcription. But luckily, I went on to Elance and I found a provider who was a brand new transcriptionist. And what's so cool about this experience is that while I didn't have the knowledge, she was willing as the provider to teach me what I needed to learn about transcription to get a good outcome. And for me, that's a great buying experience. And that's someone I would consider my thinking partner. So she taught me the 3 different levels of transcription, what you should pay for each of those levels, and the one most likely to fit my job. Now, of course, somebody else could have just been like, hey, pay the top amount. There you go. But I love that she took the time to educate me. And that's something I think is really underrated in outsourcing. You will learn stuff, right? It's a good learning experience for you. So those are the 3 platforms, Fiverr, Elance, and Clarity FM. They are by no means the only platforms. There's so many more that you can look at. I think I heard People for Hire is a new one I just heard about the other day. There's something called Thumbtack. And so part of what I do on my blog is actually review these different kinds of sites and get a sense of them. How to delegate. Everything starts with you. And so part of the problem with delegating, like turning that work over to someone else, is that it feels icky. And it feels icky because we've all been in jobs where somebody's delegated to us and it's been crappy. They didn't explain it right. We were certain we were doing it wrong. We're afraid to go back to them. It's just kind of an awkward, icky situation. And so it makes you not want to go ahead and delegate. And the solution to that is to really be very clear on your work style, your communication style, and what works for you. Oops. Oh, of course. There it goes. Too fast. Let's see if I can back it up.
It's okay. We're still only seeing the 1 slide, but we're getting what you're talking about. So don't worry about the slides.
Okay, cool. What was the last thing I said, Wendy?
You talked about the 3 different platforms and yeah.
How to delegate. That's where I left off. How to delegate. Okay. So here's the thing with delegating. It feels icky because we've had people do it to us, but you can actually change the experience that you have with somebody else when you're delegating. The key thing is to really understand how you like to work. Right? And we don't think about that because often we're working just with ourselves, right? So you naturally work the way you like to work. But when you're outsourcing somebody else, you have to be very aware of a couple of things. One, what's your communication style, right? Are you somebody who thinks out loud so your ideas sort of flow and, you're sharing everything all the time with your assistant? Or are you the kind of person where you were only sharing, the fully developed idea and someone could use that as an outline and just march right through it? That's something that's pretty important to know about yourself. I tend to be a think out loud person. And what I've learned through my outsourcing experience is that's expensive. Because what happens is that every time I think out loud, like, what if we just added this thing on Google? Or could you possibly do that? In my mind, I'm just thinking about it. But for the provider, they think that's a go do it order. And so, your expenses can run out of control. So you need to think about, what kind of person are you when you're sort of getting your work done? And can you manage that? The way I manage it now is by telling providers right from the start, I'm very imaginative and sometimes I get carried away. So here is the boundary for the project. Don't go outside those boundaries, even if I'm asking you to. Remind me so that I don't overspend. Right? So you want to know what kind of person you are in terms of that. In terms of communication, how do you like to get your info? Are you somebody who likes all the details up front, not many of the details? How many updates do you need to feel comfortable? That's a key one, right? Do you want that person to check in with you every day? Start of the project, mid-project, end of the project? Whatever is going to make you feel comfortable and like you're in control is what you should do. What happens when there's a issue? And all these questions I consider foundational questions. They're the ones that lay the great foundation for you to have a better working relationship with the person you're outsourcing, your outsourcing partner. Right? So what happens when there's a mistake? Are you the kind of person who wants to know right away and you're going to make the solution happen? Or are you the kind of person who wants to know right away and you're expecting the provider to come with examples and solutions in hand, right? Whose responsibility is the final product? Sometimes it's your responsibility because you can do the final check, but if you're not clear about that, you need to be, right? Because maybe the provider won't know that you're expecting them to produce a complete and ready copy. The more you know about your expectations and how you like the work, the better relationship you're going to have with your working partner, the clearer your order is. If you can have a really clear order request that includes what you're doing, what you're using the work for, what you want, and just as importantly, what you do not want to see. Oftentimes it's hard for us to say what we don't want to someone who's helping us, but actually that helps them. It gives them some parameters and guidelines to go by. And kind of a funny story about that is, when I got married, I wanted to have candles at my wedding. And when I was talking to the florist, I went through what my whole vision of the day was so that she could see in her mind what I saw in mine. Well, the upshot of that was that there was a fire ordinance that wouldn't allow open candles in a public building. So instead of ruining my day, because she knew that I want the impact of having flickering candles, the romance of that, she was able to go out and find me some battery operated candles. You want the same kind of relationship with your outsourcer. You want them to understand the entirety of the project you're doing. Not that it has to be a lot of detailed writing, it doesn't, but they just need to understand enough about what you're doing. So if there's an issue that comes up or there's a question and they can't reach you right away, that they're able to move forward or at least ask you the right questions to move forward. Does that make some sense? And then so those are the foundational questions. They're really about you and how you like to work and what works best for you. The other part of the questions that you need to be asking yourself are project-driven questions. Why am I outsourcing this project? What is my goal, right, with it? What am I hoping to accomplish in my business? The big why question is really important because this is what keeps you on track when, your day gets a little sideways. You're like, oh, well, screw it. I'm just going to do it myself. I don't want to be managing anybody else. Understand your big why. This is going to help me add 500 people to my my mailing list, or this is going to put more butts in the seats for my webinar. Will keep you engaged with your project so that you start at the beginning, you follow the project all the way through the end. You don't sort of drop off and abandon and drop that project in the outsourcer's lap and say like, hey, talk to you when it's done. You really have to be involved and engaged, and your big why helps you stay engaged, or at least it does me. So foundationally, when you're going to delegate, you want to get all your foundation questions answered. And I actually had created a form and a little bit of a report for you that you can get at outsourceeasier.com/social media with heart, just for Wendy's peeps. And it'll walk you through the delegation process. And then the other project-driven questions are like, why am I doing it? And one of the questions I ask myself all the time is, am I the right person to do this? Just because you like to do something and that you're good at doing it doesn't mean you should be the one to do it. So I kind of walk through the step, and I outsource things that I don't like to do right off the bat because there's no point in doing that. Business is supposed to be fun, right? I outsource things that I don't know how to do. If there's going to be a significant, or actually these days even a modest learning curve, and I don't think the time spent in learning is going to serve me later on, then I outsource that task. Because somebody else is better at it already. They have superior knowledge. If it's something that I can do and I like to do, then I ask myself, is it worth the internal hourly rate? Is it worth me spending $250 to do this task myself when I can have somebody else do it? Often the answer is no, and it probably should be no for you too, right? And then there's those tasks where you just love to do them. Wendy and I were talking about this the other day. I'm pretty geeky. So I love discovering new tools and playing with them and seeing what they can do. And, I'm a lifelong learner, and probably just about everybody on this call could say you're a lifelong learner too. That's generally how we get to be coaches. But you don't need to exercise that interest, being a lifelong learner, in your business because it's expensive for you to learn to do things that don't automatically or naturally support generating more revenue. So just because you like to do it and you can do it and you want to learn to do it doesn't mean that you should. You really have to think, what's the bottom line impact? If I learn it, will I make more money than if I outsource it? So it's those kinds of questions that you want to be getting to. So the summary, if we're looking at what we talked about so far, is that you want to outsource because it really is going to grow not only your business, but you personally as a business owner. And that's something we don't talk that much about, but growing your business is, yes, absolutely about growing the revenues, but it's also about growing your skill and competence. And when you work with other people who have better skill sets than yours, you grow. You want to outsource because your time is limited. You only have the 40 hours or 52 hours in a week, but you have more work to do than that. And so you need to reach out and get affordable help. You can't afford to hire a new body, but you can't afford to rent some talent. So you definitely want to rent that talent. You also want to use that outsourcing as the ability to create new products. Your clients are probably craving some great new solutions that you might not get to because you don't know the technology, or maybe it's foreign or confusing to you. And a good example that comes to mind for me is podcasting, right? Podcasting is a new in thing. Everybody's on their phone now. We get a lot of our information and education through the audio and through the phone. And so it's a great time to start podcasting, but lots of people don't want to because it's complicated. Like, how will I figure out the tech? And this is my own story. I didn't want to start podcasting because learning mixing levels and the kind of outsourcing mic that I needed and doing all that tech stuff, even though I'm geeky, that did not interest me at all. So I've put off doing my own podcast. But recently I've learned that, you know what? I can do the creative part and outsource all the rest. And so you could do exactly the same thing with your podcast. And when you have a podcast, that increases your reach. There's so many more people who are going to hear your message and get the yummy, valuable stuff that you have to offer them. And so when you think about outsourcing in that way, it almost seems like your responsibility to get the help you need to get your message out and to change more lives. Or at least that's what I think. So I would love to be able to open up and answer any questions. Is that okay, Wendy?
Sure. Do you want to take us over to Fiverr and show us around a bit?
Yes. Thank you. Let's see if we can get out of this. There we go. Because that's what it says at the end of my slide presentation.
Yeah, we never saw any of those.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No worries.
Yeah,
you got great information, so that's okay.
Good. All right, so I'm going to open up my Fiverr and then see if I can show you that screen. Can you see it now?
Not yet, no. Not yet.
Oh, gosh darn it. All right, let's try it again. Screen share. There we go.
Okay.
Now?
Yes, we can see it. That's great.
Woohoo! Cooking with gas, people. All right, so here we are in the Fiverr dashboard. Obviously, we are inside my Fiverr dashboard. And I wanted to give you just a look around because sometimes, when you're trying out new technology, it's like, oh, I don't know what to touch. I'm not sure what button. So, I wanted to make sure you had a look. So this is what the Fiverr dashboard looks like when you log in and you see your homepage or the general homepage. What I love about it is that they will give you hints about what kind of gigs you can be getting. So obviously we're all about music now, getting catchy jingle, getting original music. And in fact, if you're thinking about doing your podcast, I would seriously suggest that you use Fiverr, a Fiverr provider, to create the 15, 30-second music bed that you need for your podcast. You're going to have to go out and license the music anyway. You might as well have custom music. How cool is that? So this is the first page. Here are the gigs that are recommended for me because I've been doing a lot of stuff. And so lately I've been looking at PR. I've been looking at banners and writing emails. I look at all kinds of stuff for both for me and for my clients. At the bottom down here are the featured gigs. And you'll see they're all really visually vibrant. If you're somebody who is thinking about selling on Fiverr, that's definitely something you want to take into consideration. Is the visual is pretty important. Let me show you across the top. These are the different categories on Fiverr, and there's really not much that you could want in your business that you couldn't already get here. So these are across the top. In fact, let's just click through. I'll show you the business. Okay, your path to the Fortune 500. Doesn't he look reliable and trustworthy? So the way they lay it out on the category page is that by recommended, high rating, and new. My friends, because you are new to this platform, you are going to be staying with high rated. And what you want to do, and this is just an extra tip, I hope Wendy doesn't mind if I share, is that first you want to like scroll down on the recommended page. And all you're doing is letting your eyes sort of drift over the images that you see, seeing which ones sort of catch your eye, like market research caught my eye. Ah, he's a new arrival. If you roll over, you can see how long the person's been on the site. He said 1 gig, 322 gigs. So now you've seen all the recommended. Now click high rated. What you're looking for are somebody who appeared both on the recommended page and the high rated page.
Oh, that's a very good tip.
Yep. And what I'm looking for is I actually don't see anybody crossover yet. Because the recommended page is Fiverr's algorithm. Those are the people they want you to see, and usually for their reasons, right? Maybe they're trying to mix up their batter a little bit and show more providers who haven't gotten a lot of screen time. So I like their recommended, but I don't rest there because that's their intention. I want to see high rated. High rated is from people who have actually used these providers, right? This is real life experience. You're usually, as a brand new Fiverr user, you're looking for someone with over 100 reviews, right? So, yep.
Okay. Now, can you reach out to some of those people that have left recommendations and ask them about their experience? Is that okay?
You cannot do that. They don't actually let you do it. But what you can do, though, which is the next best thing, and I recommend this to all my clients, is contact the provider directly first, right?
Okay.
Almost every provider, and I call them providers. I don't like the word freelancer because it sounds too much like freeloader. So I say provider because they're providing me with help to grow my business. Almost every provider will ask you to contact them first. If they don't, do it anyway. And here's the reason why. I like to use that initial contact to do a couple of things. One, I want to make sure that they actually can do my thing. Like, can you do this? And this is what I want. How many gigs is it going to take? Because sometimes it's not clear from looking at the gig sheet how many gigs it's going to be. And then 3, I want to find out how responsive they are. Like, if it takes them a day and a half to answer my question, I have to make something of that. Now,
I was just going to say 2 things. One, I guess also if you're wanting to hire someone to do some copywriting or something like that, you also want to see what their English skills are like.
Yes.
And the question I have is, when you're finished here, can you walk us through what a gig means? Because for a lot of us, we don't understand.
Well, let us just do that right now. So let's just go on the gig. And because I don't often see it this way, I'm going to show you one of my gigs, I think. Let's see what happens when we search me. Boom. It wouldn't be hysterical if I didn't come up there. There you go. So, of course, I didn't. So here's something I want. This is actually good that it came up. Remember I was talking earlier about how Fiverr has its own algorithm?
Yeah.
And so what they've done is sometimes throttle people. So I don't know why I'm not coming up in main search, but I know I'm on there. So if you find you're searching for someone, you have their specific Fiverr handle, and you get to the screen, it says, we don't know. Just click through here, and you should be able to click right through. See, there I am.
Okay.
All right, so here's my seller profile. Right? This is the place where you're going to find all the gigs that the person is offering. It's a great place to start because often I like to pick somebody who can do multiple tasks for me. And this is how I find that out, by visiting their profile page. Right? So this is their general page. Suppose you want to click through and look at one of their gigs. Let's go through.
Okay.
All right, here's the gig. Here's what it tells you what you get. I help you pick your provider. Here's the most important part, the about this gig. You want to read the gig instructions very carefully. That's where the provider is telling you not only their experience, what they can do, but what they need from you to start the gig. On Fiverr, if you don't get the gig instructions right, your gig doesn't start. So this is a gig. You want to read them. Remember I was talking earlier about contacting the person? If you click more, oh gosh, where did my contact button go? Usually on the right-hand side, there's a little button that says contact me. And I don't know why that's not there now, but that, oh, you know why? Because we're in the back end. We're in my back end. Usually there's a little button right about here that says contact me. You'll click through that and it'll open up a dialog box to the provider. Do not contact the provider off platform. I just want to say that again. You want to have all your communications with the provider on platform. And the reason why is that it protects you. You can certainly contact them off platform, and I work with folks off platform all the time, but most of my instructions and my communication with them is on platform, because if you have an issue and you need to go to the resolution center, that's the first thing they ask you. Have you been communicating with the provider, and what's been the result of that?
Okay, so now you talked about figuring out the pricing. So can you explain like extra gigs and adding stuff onto a gig and that kind of stuff for us?
I can. Let's see. Why don't we pick something that you'd like to work on, Wendy, like a real gig, so that we can walk through it.
Okay. Well, how about a jingle for my podcast?
Ooh, that'd be fun. Jingle. Okay. So jingle and drop. A drop is just the call to action. I love how they use that jargon. So we're gonna look at jingles. It'll be fun. I'll be doing a search for you. All right, so we're looking at recommended. I'm just going to look at the top 6. Okay, peeps. Waiting for it to come back. There we go. So I'm looking at the recommended. I look at the top 6. I'm going to look at the high rated. Nobody the same.
Okay.
All right, but she's got 416, and I kind of like the way she looks. I like the color of the wall.
Okay. So we're going purely on instinct here.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I think that we underestimate how much our intuition can inform us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
So you can get a lot of information by looking at the picture, and certainly by hearing the person's voice, which is why Fiverr recommends that providers put up videos. Yeah. All right, so here's your jingle. She will write, sing, and record your original jingle for you, Wendy.
Okay.
She takes the information she gives you. What she doesn't say is how long the jingle is going to be. And so for me, that's kind of a problem.
Right, because it could be 20 seconds, it could be 2 minutes. And I'd have to contact her to find that out. So it'd be helpful if that was already there.
Right. So, you know, as I'm evaluating for Dina's Rolodex, this is somebody who I wouldn't include in the Rolodex because her gig instructions are not clear enough.
Okay.
And so, look, she says you can add harmonies to your jingle. She says it takes about 10 days on average. So you got to be planning ahead if you want to order with her, right, or get her extra fast delivery. And that's the extra gig.
Right.
So in this case, if you need it faster, you could definitely order it. Okay. When you're doing like a graphic art extra gigs, when they say PSD file, that's the editable file. You always want to get that gig.
Yes, thank you for saying that, because I've worked with a number of clients that have bought graphics off of Fiverr and they've just gotten a PDF or something, and we can't take it to a print shop or anything to have it edited. So you want that PSD, right?
Yeah, PSD file. You also, if you're getting graphics done, either you want to have the license to that image, or you want to make sure the provider has a license to the image. That's like a no-go. If there's no license, you can't do it.
Right. So that means if you're using an actual photo, that it's a royalty-free photo. So you can either go to a site like
Unsplash is one of my favorites.
Unsplash, and also Morguefile, and you can use all of those photos for no royalty fee, and you can use them however you choose. And then you could give that to your provider, and they can create what you want out of it.
That's exactly it. I mean, as long as we're talking about graphics for the minute, the other key thing about graphics is always give the person an example. And the instruction you want to give them is to be inspired, but not plagiarized.
Okay.
So they know.
one of the things that I do when I'm hiring anybody, whether it's through Elance or Fiverr, is I write a short brief for them.
Yep.
So I tell them where the item's going to be used, how,
Yep.
if it's music, how long I need it to be, if it's a graphic, what size I want. And then I include some color chips. So I'll go and I'll find some ads maybe online or some pictures that have the right colors that I want to use. And then I also give them a list of words that I want to be associated with it. So it could be like maybe I was doing a Halloween thing. It would be dark, gloomy, foreboding. Or if I wanted springtime, it would be fun, light, fresh. So give them as much information as you can.
Yep.
And you're going to get what you want, but you'll get it faster because you're not going back and forth so much to tweak everything. So
That's
it's
right.
worth putting in that time at the beginning, I think.
It is. I always say that we can spend either 100% of our time worrying about the fact that we're not getting stuff done, or we can spend 20% of our time managing somebody else while they do it.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Better to do that. So in this one, I don't love her for you, but let's just look at her extra gig. So she'll add the harmonies. She'll record the voice and music separately and send you both. And that might be something that you want for your podcast if later you think you might want to change the words or change the music. And she says she'll double the length of the jingle, but she doesn't actually tell you how long the jingle length is. So it's kind of like that level of detail that you have to be reading these, right? Yeah. So if we were going to go ahead and use her, we'd be sending her a little note. Here's the contact me button. Saying, hey, how long would the jingle be?
Yeah.
But it's clear she does a good job because, let's see, she has 415 5-star reviews. So clearly she's getting it done. Awesome. And let me just show you how to see the reviews. Click at the top. Okay. Here they are at the bottom. And here's something you might not know, Wendy, which this is a new thing on Fiverr. It's a double blind. So when you review somebody, they review you right back.
Oh, so if I send a review saying I really liked them, working with them, they would have the opportunity to review me as a person they're selling to.
Yes. So
okay, cool. Well, that's good. I mean, that levels the playing field.
It does, and it keeps people in check, right? Because occasionally people get a little, ego-driven, and they're like, well, this person's my servant. No, this is your partner, and guess what? They're going to talk about you if you're not a good partner.
Yeah.
There you go. I just want to show you the inbox. So this is the inbox where you'd be getting messages.
Okay. And if you talk about the dispute center, so if there is a dispute, there's a remedy for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can. I'm not sure how to get to that one, but on any order page, there at the top, right around here, you'll see the resolution center. You click through there, and I've actually had a dispute before, so I can speak from experience. That it's a good process and it does work. They will ask you to go back to the provider and explain what your issue is. The provider has 3 days to remedy the issue. If they don't, then Fiverr terminates and gives you the refund. The other thing I want you to know about, because it's a relatively new thing, is mutual cancellations. And I'm going to be honest, I don't love this idea. So with the mutual cancellation thing is that the provider can ask you to mutually cancel. So you cancel, they cancel, everybody goes home. The problem with that is that you can't review on a mutual cancellation.
So if they were really bad and you didn't enjoy working with them, but if they canceled the gig, then you can't say that.
That's right. So I've actually made a point of pointing that out to Fiverr, saying if you're going to offer that option, you also have to offer us the option of reviewing the cancellation, because I'd like to say that, this provider waited to the last minute to tell me that he wasn't going to be able to do it and then wanted a mutual cancellation.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask if anybody has any questions for Dina, send them to me by Facebook message and I will ask her. And in the meantime, you have a gig on yours where you help people find the right provider. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I would be happy. Thank you for asking me that question. So many folks want to try Fiverr, but it's like, it's dicey. And so I thought, okay, I can help with that. So people can either buy my book, which is the only training manual for buyers on Fiverr, or you can actually ask me to go ahead and choose a provider for you. So I'll go ahead and get your information. You'll tell me what it is you want to get done, what your budget is, and I'll find you 2 names.
Oh, cool.
All
Okay.
for $5.
Now, what's the name of your book, Dina?
Fiverr, the Essential Buying Guide, and you can either get it on Amazon, or you can get it from my site, or you can get it from Fiverr. And so I'm going to ask a small favor and ask you, if you're going to get the book, please get it from Fiverr. You'll get it for less money than on my website. And I'm trying to build up my reviews.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of embarrassing.
And now you have something.
Have so few reviews.
You have something that when I first met you, you told me about that I was really impressed with, and that's your Rolodex. So Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think this is a great tool.
I would love to talk about the Rolodex. So it is really so innovative and unique. One of the things I found over and over again is people just didn't know who to pick. They didn't necessarily trust themselves to pick well. And we all love getting advice from friends. Like, we all ask our friends, what's a good restaurant or who's a good electrician, right? So I decided to take this idea and sort of do Angie's List, but for outsourcing. So Dina's Rolodex is a collection of 200 plus recommended providers that I've either worked with myself, worked with my clients, or come from my recommended trusted network. Because I've been on the site since 2009, early 2010, I was able to build up a really good body of work from providers that sort of scans just about every task you'd want to do on Fiverr. So you can jump into the Rolodex as a day tripper, if you will, and get 7 days for $18. Or if you're somebody who wants more attention and wants more of a guided experience, excuse me, I would say then become an elite member, because elite members get a monthly training on 12 different projects that you need to do every year. It's really going to grow your business. Elite members also get access to office hours. So every Monday, any elite member can actually go ahead and ping me and ask me questions about their project and what they're doing as a way of supporting you to get your stuff done.
Awesome. Now, how can they find out about the Rolodex, Dina?
If you go to outsourceeasier.com/introducing Dina's Rolodex, you will find information about the decks there and a little form where you can get updates.
All right. So I haven't got any questions that have come through. I think you've given everybody so much information. Their brains are probably a little bit full. But I want to thank you so much for walking us through this and really helping. And I know I've used Fiverr a few times, as I've said, but I feel much more confident now. You showed me how to choose the right supplier and knowing there's a dispute process if I have a problem. So that's awesome.
Good. I'm glad. I'm excited for people to try it. If you have questions that you think of later, because doesn't it happen all the time the minute you're off and then you're like, oh, you're more than welcome to hit me up on Facebook. My Facebook group is Outsource Easier, and I'd love to have you like the page and leave your questions there.
Excellent. And I'm going to send out an email tonight to everybody with a link to the replay so people can watch the replay. And also, I will put the links to the free report that you've offered, which is special for my people, and also a link to your Rolodex as well. And I'll include your Facebook page too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dina. And thanks everybody for hanging in with our little technical glitches here. Sometimes that happens, and we just got to roll with it. We're lucky to have this technology. I mean, 20 years ago, we never could have done this.
Never could have done it. And Mercury's in retrograde, so we had to expect something.
Hearing that. I don't know how to manage things, but thanks everybody for joining. And I hope some of you are going to join me on Wednesday night, because I'm doing another webinar. This is going to be a live coaching session. If you join on the webinar, I'm going to choose 3 people ahead of time, and they're going to be able to get a live hot seat coaching session from me. So 15 to 20 minutes, one-to-one on the webinar. And even if you're not chosen, you're going to learn a lot, because many business owners have the same questions. And so I'm going to do coaching one-on-one, and you'll have a chance to learn from those sessions. And 3 of you will get a chance to be actually coached online. So it's Wednesday night. If you haven't signed up yet, you can go to the Social Media with Heart Facebook group, and I will be happy to give you the link so you can sign up for Wednesday night. So have a great evening or morning or day or afternoon, wherever it is that you are, and I will chat with you again soon.